Hey everyone, Mike Toole. I'm the IT security manager for Censys.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben Wireman. I'm a software engineer here at Censys on the data team.
So today we're going to go over what questions investigators and threat hunters can answer, as well as practitioners with our new Universal Internet DataSet. We'll also go over the dataset and how it's changed and how you can really see a full clear picture of your attack surface. And then also what implications that has on your risk management program and how we can really help you see the full picture. We'll have some actionable takeaways uh, as far as what your overall risk program looks like, and just a really clear picture of your full attack surface. So, and then we'll also talk about a really cool feature that we've introduced, independent port scanning. So it's really special, and we think we're pretty ahead of the game here as far as uh, some technologies that we've introduced. The pain points we're going to go over, they're really, these are really just common pain points for most security teams, right? So how do you provide an accurate data inventory of all your assets and your services, and how do you create real-time alerting with that? Because changes are important, right? Being accurate is important about your assets. And then we're also going to talk about tracking your assets and the software OSs. We're going to talk about your tracking of software and OS versions and how that affects how we discover vulnerabilities and your patch cadence and what that looks like.
We also hear.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. We also hear from our threat hunter customers that they want to be able to fingerprint attacker infrastructure and track it as it moves across the internet. And they also want to use our data sets to enrich their own intelligence. And we're hoping to make that easier.
So why don't we get into our Universal Internet Dataset? Ben, you want to give us a look?
Yeah, so we often hear from customers that they want to know not only what ports and protocols are running on their services, but also what operating systems, if they're out of date or if they have out of date or vulnerable software. They want more frequent updates than a quarterly pen test can give them, because they know that in the world of the cloud, developers can spin up a database in AWS for 15 minutes and then your whole thing is compromised. The Universal Internet Dataset addresses some of these concerns with increased port coverage and increased scan frequency so that we can give a more complete and more up-to-date view of the internet and their attack surfaces. It also has streamlined software and OS detection to better work with third-party tooling and automatic protocol detection so that we can tell you if you're running services on non-standard ports. It's also sick as hell, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Some just general statistics on the Universal Internet Dataset. It has 2,325 ports. It sees over 830 million services across 250 million hosts. We've added 3 new scanners to it. It has an average observation age of about 48 hours and a 6-day refresh for all services. So we can give a more complete, more up-to-date view of the internet. As comparison to our 2 other IPv4 datasets, Banner's dataset and the IPv4 dataset, we see more services, more ports. We have more scanners. We refresh more quickly. We've improved drastically.
Bigger and better numbers.
Bigger and better numbers. One of the really exciting things for the new Universal Internet Dataset is that we have multi-perspective scanning. We scan from 3 scan origins, 1 in North America, 1 in Asia, and 1 in Europe. A recent research paper presented at the Internet Measurement Conference by Wan et al. Shows that additional scanning locations increase internet visibility, with 3 perspectives giving you over 99 present visibility, and there's only diminishing returns after that. Another exciting thing about DataSet is we've, instead of JSON, which is how our enterprise customers download our datasets currently, we're storing them in Avro serialized format. This means that it has built-in snappy compression as well as built-in schema and documentation, so that if our customers need to know what is represented by a field, the documentation is right there in the file. It also has library support for common languages like C#, C++, Java, Python, and JavaScript. Although I really hope you're not downloading our data with JavaScript, just please why. But the real kicker and the thing I'm most excited about is that it has Avro supports code generation in many languages, so that our customers can just generate the code given our schema, and they don't have to spend any time writing the code to parse our data and can immediately start feeding it into their investigation tools and other tools.
Yeah, we're really trying to work hard to get this data to you faster and easier.
So as I've said, this is kind of a total rewrite. So we've made some schema improvements to make it easier to query as well. Our old data sets were organized by port. So if I wanted to tell you what was run, I could only tell you that HTTP was running on port 80. I couldn't tell you if you had SSH exposed on port 80. That's not true in the new data set. It's no longer organized by port. Instead, it is organized as host level information and then an array of services that are running. So I can tell you if you have SSH on port 80 and you have HTTP on port 2000 and stuff like that. It also has TLS information stored in one location, so you don't have to query. You can query about TLS in general instead of TLS specific to certain services. We're hoping that this makes it easier to query, but also allows us to represent the internet more accurately and more completely.
Yeah, this is really a great feature because it makes it more flexible for you as far as like building it into tools.
So I wanted to do an example of how to query this new schema. So if, for instance, I wanted to know all the exposed Kubernetes services in my home state of Texas, I would select location.city from the table. I would join unnest on the array of services that I was talking about so you could get each service as an individual row. I would limit it to the Lone Star State, and then I would limit it to just Kubernetes services. This shows how easy it is to get these sort of like internet at large queries up and running, but also I find it super interesting that all of the Kubernetes services in Texas are in Dallas and Irving. There's like less than 5 in the rest of the cities, like 20 other cities that have maybe 5 Kubernetes services. So I don't know what's happening in Sugarland with the couple Kubernetes services that they have there, but I'm not particularly worried about them.
It's a party.
It's a party. As I've said, we've also tried to query. We've tried to make querying for software easier so that you can integrate with third-party tools. So in the old data set, if I wanted to get all the software running on an individual host, or in this case, all of the hosts that we've detected, this is the query you have to run. Customers have told us it's a little bit unmanageable, and I think they have a good point. And this query is actually cheating. That select star would technically need to be all of the lines in the where again, if you didn't want to get the rest of the data. In the new data set, this is the query. It's 4 lines. You unnest on services, as I spoke, and then you unrest on software underneath in each individual service. And like I said, we provide it in CPE 2.3 format, so you can immediately check against CV tools and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really great. I personally know how powerful that returning that can be, especially like built into your tool chains.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. So improved protocol support. Censys is always working to add new scanners, and we've added 3 new scanners to this data set. Namely those being NTP, OpenVPN, and CoAP, with NTP and OpenVPN having more than 1 million, NTP almost 10 million results, and CoAP at 200,000 almost.
Yeah, these are, we're always looking at new protocols and ports, and these ones really stick out because like NTP, if you have really old versions, what lots of people do on the internet, man, there's just all sorts of it's just ripe for reflection attacks or DDoSes. And if you have a network relying on that NTP server and you find it on the internet, right, DDoSing it can be super powerful for an attacker. And same thing with like OpenVPN. It's a great VPN server. I mean, it's getting old now compared to most of the other ones. But also, just the default config of an OpenVPN server is not very secure. It's more open than secure. So we find that they're supporting just the wrong ciphers and crypto, and really it's having an open VPN server that is on the public internet that isn't sufficiently hardened is really dangerous, honestly. So, and then CoAP, if you're not familiar with CoAP, it's IoT. That stuff should just not be on the internet, but we find a lot of it. So
yeah, you'd be surprised what people are willing to expose to the internet by accident. All right, and the thing that I'm most excited about for this Universal Internet DataSet, and the part that I'm most proud to have helped to work on, is automatic protocol detection. The long and short of automatic protocol detection is we can tell you when you're running services on non-standard ports. For instance, SSH is one of the services we can do this with. For any of the ports we scan, we can tell you if you're running SSH. And if I take a sample of the ports that are most commonly running SSH other than port 22, unsurprisingly, 2222 and 2222.2 are high up on the list because people are not very clever. But also 58,392 is up there, which I thought was interesting. It's just you can't just change the port number. It's not going to solve the problem.
yeah, this is really powerful. I can't even tell you how many admin panels I've seen where it's just they add another 8 in front of the port number. It's kind of like your friend wearing a fake mustache, right? Like, we still know it's you, Randy. Like, stop putting fake mustaches on.
It's not super convincing, I suppose.
Yeah.
No. And then some other services we can do this with are okay.
Yep. So we've got it's the typical remote access stuff. We see this a lot. People are trying to do a little bit of security out of obscurity. But HTTP servers, like I talked about, a lot of them run their admin panels on non-standard ports, or they might be behind a proxy using non-standard ports. We can see all of that. Telnet, I don't know why there's still Telnet on the internet, but there is a lot of it. VNC, obviously, same thing. I think a lot of this, you get RDP and SSH, and I think people just don't want the stigma of having an open server on the internet, showing up in scans. But we still see you. Like, Randy, take your mustache off. Like, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, and in fact, over 66% of the services we can detect are on non-standard ports, which is to say the internet at large is on non-standard ports.
Yep.
So if you're just scanning for standard ports, you're going to miss huge swaths of the internet.
Yep. So, the data set is honestly constantly improving, and we have the most quality internet scanning data sets. We've been doing this for a while, right? We're constantly improving it. It's getting better. We have protocol detection on non-standard ports on top of a number of things. So one of the things that we also do is attack surface management. So we have a platform called ASM for short. But this really solves a problem for security teams trying to figure out what that threat landscape looks like for them, right? What does your attack surface look like? And there's a few things you can do. Like, you can do scanning yourself, right? So the problem with that is you really have to know what you're looking for. Scanning the internet all the time is hard. It's not easy. You probably won't be able to do it as fast as you want to. But also you have to store the data, right? So it's really we built a platform on top of our data set already that can do it for you. So you also have to think about a bunch of other stuff, right? Like so you do want to scan yourself. It's really cumbersome, honestly. You have to keep your tools up to date. Things break. You have to troubleshoot, and you end up spending a lot of time doing that, right? So I know, like for me at least, there are a billion other things I could be doing, and I probably should be doing, right? So why am I spending my time doing this when I'm probably not going to be able to do it that well? So I always think, like, what else could I be doing instead of that, right? That's a really powerful thing to think about as a security practitioner, right? So where am I investing, and where am I putting my time? So yeah, you definitely can though, but we do a better job, honestly. So we offer a few things within our ASM platform, and you're gonna see we have this great data set, right? We're doing other things on top of it, so we pivot on top of that quality data. We're doing things like looking at your DNS records, right? So we're looking at your certificates, your trust chains. We're taking those and we're basically fingerprinting your organization, right? So it is honestly, it's the best way to see your full attack surface uh, automatically, right? Like, we're doing it for you. You don't have to do anything. It just shows up. We're using your data. We know things about you. We have this crazy data set. We're basically just building things on top of it. So and then on top of that, we have an open API. You can build tooling past this, right? Like, so pipe it into your alerting and your SIEM, your SOAR, those type of tools. So really what you get is a clearer picture of your attack surface, right? So we're doing the automated discovery of your assets. It's a really powerful thing to all of a sudden get an alert and see a host that came up online and it was misconfigured, right? So that's not something you would normally see unless you're looking for it. So you can do one of two things. You could wait for that next vulnerability scan, or you can build a scanner yourself and probably do an okay job, but maybe you're not going to catch everything, right? So how would you know if your server's running SSH, open to the world on a non-standard port, or HTTP for that matter? So that's not supposed to. We see things like origin servers that aren't behind CDNs exposed to the internet, all sorts of stuff. So we're doing it. We're automating it for you. We're doing it with more perspectives as well, right? So Ben talked earlier about scanning from multiple parts of the globe. I don't have to tell you that the internet looks different in different places. So that's honestly pretty huge. Our multiples perspective and how we can fingerprint a host from all over the globe. So it really just gives you a good insight into your assets and your full attack surface. What I talked about too is like the continuousness of this. It really is a powerful tool because the other thing I didn't mention too is that there's an audit log of the full trail of your host, right? So you can see when it changed, when the cert changed, if somebody changed the DNS on it, when ports open, and also if ports close, right? So let's say you do find a host and you remediate that problem. You have to wait for the next scan, or I guess do another scan yourself to verify, right? Like, that's a point in time thing. What if it comes back? So what if that opens back up, right? Like, we've all seen these things. So having an audit trail is huge as well. So that's a little bit about our attack surface platform and our data set. We really think that they provide a tremendous amount of value and automation for teams. You really like having a continuous visibility tool and seeing your full attack surface it's just so powerful on top of the things that you could build with that, right? So we do demos as well. So if you're interested in a demo, you can contact us with the email on the screen, right? Or you can follow our blog too. We post lots of stuff about the industry and our customers. And all right, thanks for joining us today for this webinar. We really look forward to continuing this conversation with you in our next webinar, and keep an eye out on that blog. And we just want to help you on your journey with your risk and just finding those unknown assets and being able to have tools to remediate. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Done.